Got to thinking last night about people who think that their lives are really insignificant. I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of us feel that way at some point, but there are some people who just feel worthless. And then that got me thinking about people who became famous once they weren't here anymore. I mean, the first person who comes to mind was Vincent van Gogh, who only sold one painting while he was alive. He struggled with depression and substance abuse and eventually cut off his own ear. Emily Dickinson was not seen as a serious writer when she was alive. Only about 7 of her poems ever even saw the light of day. Edgar Allan Poe, famous for The Raven or Telltale Heart or Fall of the House of Usher, he could barely afford to keep himself fed when he was alive. You know, whenever people say, I'm afraid they're going to find you dead in a ditch someday, that's how he was found. Bruce Lee made some films when he was alive, but he was not famous when he was alive. And one of the most tragic, Anne Frank. We share a birthday. Every year on my birthday, I always make a happy birthday Anne Frank post on my Facebook. But there again, she didn't know any fame while she was alive. But if you grew up in the 80s and 90s, you knew Anne Frank on a personal level. Isn't it weird to think, though, most of these people thought that they were very inconsequential in this world? Most of them thought they would never amount to anything. But after they are gone, they are some of the most recognized and celebrated people in history. Now, I understand that it's not much of a consolation to say, well, don't worry if your life sucks. Maybe you'll be famous after you're dead. There, isn't everything better now? But it does go to show you can live your whole life thinking that you're nothing and then turn out to be one of the most influential people in history. Somebody that kids eventually do book reports on. You could have exhibits or awards named after you. They might actually make a book or a movie about your life. And I know once we're gone, we'll never know that this happened, but isn't it interesting to think about? Could you imagine a classroom full of college kids going, what must their life have been like? So my challenge to you is to think about what it is about your life that might be interesting enough that might end up making you famous someday. Maybe it's your writing, maybe it's your music, maybe it's a series of TikToks that you made. Maybe it's something you've never even thought was that big of a deal. But maybe, just maybe, your life's a little more interesting than you may think it is.